What's up, Internet? My name's Ori. It is Tuesday, August 19th, day number 43 inside the Big Brother house. Lauren's choice causes Rachel to send shockwaves through the house. How will it affect who goes home this week? Let's talk about that, plus all the intel drama and more from yesterday's live feeds. But first, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. To give you guys a little recap, though, of anything that you might have missed if you haven't been keeping up with everything, Rachel won HOH, and she nominated Mickey, Morgan, and Vince. Lauren won the power of veto, but at first it looked like she was not going to use it, but a late night scramble had Rachel calling out Vince and Morgan for pressuring her to use the veto on them. That takes us to the morning, and Lauren's indecision on the veto continued. She met up with Catherine, who actually advised her, like, hey, do not use this veto. It is not a good idea to use it. You don't know who's going up. Riley, on the other hand, actually told her, yeah, go ahead and use it. Force Rachel to make a choice. I think he might be biting those words pretty soon. Lauren ended up worrying, though, that Mickey and Morgan would be mad at her if she didn't use it, as well as Vince, right, her closest ally. She doesn't bring that up as much, but that is pretty much her big concern, is taking Vince off the block. She doesn't want to risk her number one going in the game. We then do get Lauren and Rachel, who do meet up to have that chat about what she's going to do. Lauren tells her, I'm thinking of using it. Is that okay? Like, are you okay with it? And Rachel's like, you're only giving me an hour right now to pick the renoms. And you know what? Like, Lauren, we could have worked together, right? If we work together and we go to the end, we could make it to the final two, and you would beat me in the final two, Lauren. Like, let's work together. Do not use this veto. Do not make me have to do a renom that I don't have many options for. And Lauren just continues to say, like, she doesn't want to lose Vince after losing Zach, and you know, that's kind of her number one right now. She doesn't even really go and say that, but just the in general idea is like, you pick up what she's putting down when she says this. And Rachel says, like, it doesn't matter. Like, Vince will have the votes if he's on the block. You don't have to do this. He's 100% safe. And, you know, they talk about everything that was going on with the renom, and she says, like, listen, I don't even know who I would put up as the renom. I really don't. It might well be one of your other allies. I'm just being honest with you, Lauren. Eventually, things go silent. There was like a good 3 or 4 minutes of silence where Lauren's just staring up at the HOH TV screen, and she's just like, and Rachel is staring at her like daggers into Lauren. And it's real quiet for a while. And then eventually Lauren says, yeah, I think I'm still going to use it. Rachel's like, this is a mistake, and I can't work with you. We can no longer work together moving forward if you use this veto. And once again, threatens her, saying, like, it's probably going to be one of your friends that going up on the block as a replacement. Lauren says, I'm sorry, Rachel. And that's kind of where feeds cut. We don't get any more of that. That takes us to the veto ceremony. So again, not much time for Rachel to even go and have conversations with other players about what she should do with this renom. And when we come back, Lauren did use the power of veto on Vince, and Rachel names her replacement nominee as Riley. Yeah, she did it. She went with the savage route. We talked about in yesterday's update how Keanu was like, listen, if putting Riley up is worse than putting Kelly up. Like, you're savage if you do this. It's a bad idea, Rachel. But she went with it. This is sending shockwaves through the house. Everyone was kind of freaking out, like, what is going on? They did not expect this to happen. Lauren actually thought that, like, the whole thing was a bluff, right? She's like, there's no way this is what she's actually going to do. Like, she said she was going to put up my allies, but I didn't believe that. Riley was pissed. He was not happy about this. He actually even tells Vince, he's like, I'm not even going to campaign for votes. I'm just going to go and win that blockbuster and stay that way. Like, I don't give an F anymore. I don't even care. Catherine had heard Rachel and some of the others kind of laughing about the nomination, which again kind of angered Riley even more. Catherine was pissed off about this as well. I'll be honest, I don't even know if 100% that's what they were laughing about in general. I don't think anybody was particularly in good spirits with this. It was just like, holy, what is going on? We then get Riley and Keanu kind of meeting up, and he's like, Rachel just lied to me all week, told me I was safe. And, you know, Keanu asked him, like, did you say that you were going to target me? Because that's one of the things that Rachel keeps saying. Riley denies. He's like, no, I never said that. And he calls Rachel a lion mother effer. We then get Catherine, who, he tells Catherine, like, I have 4 votes locked in. Other than that, I could be going home. She starts crying and he comforts her. He's like, I'm sorry for even saying that. And he actually blames Keanu, saying that I bet he went and told Rachel to put me up because I would be safe and I wouldn't go home. We then do get Rachel and Keanu meeting up. Keanu kind of confronts her over this. He got actually a little bit heated, telling her how bad of a decision this was and it's too soon to take a shot at Riley. Rachel actually says it's never too soon for a big move like this. And she insists that Riley was going to go after Keanu, even though he refuses to believe it. She keeps telling him that how it goes. Keanu actually says, like, she can't do this because she's not just playing by herself. She's playing with him now, not like she was playing in last seasons when she was with Brendan or nobody else. And he actually even brings up her reputation again, saying, like, a lot of us in here never saw your season. All we know from you is the clips. And, like, there's the reputation versus the reality. Later, they actually met up again and they kind of rehashed the whole thing about keep Riley going up on the block. And Keanu actually says Kelly wouldn't have been upset if you put her up instead, and that would have been the better option. This really hasn't kind of torn Keanu and Rachel apart by any means, but he was definitely like, Rachel, what are you doing? This doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I'm trying to build like an alliance here. You're supposed to be loyal to your alliance, but there was never no alliance, right? This is all just an alliance that was in Keanu's head. But like, he's making, like, if the alliance was real, he's making a good point, but it was never actually real. So later on, Keanu actually asked Lauren, right, like, did Rachel actually name Riley as a replacement nominee? And Lauren's like, well, no, not really, right? Like, she just kind of said, like, maybe like my allies would go up. But again, I thought she was bluffing. We then get Kelly, who met up with Rachel, and Rachel tells her everyone was throwing Kelly's name out to be this Renom instead of Riley. Kelly actually says she would have rather been the nom than it had been Riley. And then after this, how does she respond? Well, she goes around the house saying that we got to get Rachel out, and she starts gathering up numbers, including herself, Catherine, Riley, Lauren, and they also plan to even pull in Ava potentially to get out Rachel. So Kelly, once again, just being a huge wild card, someone that you would think would be very happy to hear that, hey, people were throwing your name out there, but I didn't put you on the block. Instead, she goes around and starts an anti-Rachel alliance. Rachel then met up with Catherine, and Rachel admitted that, like, I told Lauren what was going to happen. I told her that if she used the veto, that Riley would be the renom, and, that you shouldn't use it. She's then, Catherine then goes to talk to Lauren, who again says, like, kind of, but like, I thought she was bluffing, right? Like, I didn't believe that she would actually do it. We also had Rachel and Riley, not Rachel Riley, but Rachel and Riley meeting up. Rachel says, she's sorry for having to put him up, and claims that, he's just a pawn. He's there to win the blockbuster and take himself down so that Mickey or Morgan go. And, he talks about, and she actually says that, like, I know for a fact that you kind of lied to me a couple of times as well, just saying. And Riley, he plays the victim here. He's like, I don't know about that. I don't have anybody in this house. It's like, come on, buddy, you at the very least, you have Catherine and you have a couple other allies. People are looking out for you a little bit. And he basically just says, like, all different excuses on why there were different lies and stuff like that. Again, another long silence here where there was just kind of some staring back and forth, but eventually they do kind of hug and apologize. And afterwards, Rachel just says, like, yeah, I feel bad, right? Like, I feel like I didn't want to put him up, but my hand was forced, right? Like, what else was I supposed to do? We then get Catherine, Lauren, Vince, and Riley all kind of checking in with each other, just talking about what's been going on. Catherine tells Lauren and Vince, what Rachel was saying about naming Riley and how, like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, she was saying that she told you. Eventually, we do get Lauren and Riley and just Catherine in the room. And this is when Catherine tells Riley, like, yeah, Lauren kind of knew what was going on. And Riley was looking at Catherine and then just goes, like, he just had this tell that went, you knew? Like, explain yourself. Which Lauren just kind of says, like, I thought it was a bluff. I didn't think it was actually real. Like, she said, like, friends, but that was really kind of it. Finally, we do get that, her saying like Rachel did maybe mention Catherine and maybe mention Riley as options, right? It wasn't just that. And Riley just, she just keeps saying, like he's cursing up a storm. He's just cursing up a storm. I can't even say what he was saying. But he also, talks about the things that he was talking with Rachel and everything like that. Catherine actually says that, Rachel, she's trying to get you out right now. She's trying to break us up. That's what this is all about. So they actually think this is actually a big shot at Riley. We also get Ava and Will kind of chatting. Ava is over Vince. She is so annoyed with how he's acting now that he's come off the block. She's like, he was always talking about how scared he was to have meetings because everybody thought he was having too many one-on-ones. As soon as he's off the block, he's back doing it again. When she's like, I'm actually close to going off on him. And Will's like, I just hope they don't give us any alcohol. We also get Ava talking to Rachel about how she's over Mickey and all of her fakeness as well, saying that, Mickey hates Rachel and, that she actually hates the idea that Rachel is now being pitted as being evil. Ava's like, that's not fair. Like, I don't think that's, you at all. Rachel kind of says like, yeah, it's a thing, right? But it is what it is. And with the way people are acting with this, it proves to me that I made the right decision with my renoms. And that's actually kind of a thing. I've said this before. If people want you to do something in the house, you probably shouldn't do it. It probably means that you shouldn't do what they want, especially the more people who are saying it. Usually you should do the opposite, because that means that there's some big group that they all love this certain person. And the same thing goes. If you start getting backlash for a move this bad, it probably means you ended up making the right move here. We then also in the late night got Vince and Morgan kind of just chatting. Vince tells her like, listen, you're going to stay, right? Like even if you're up there against Mickey, you got 6 votes at the least to stay. You got Riley, Catherine, Keanu, Kelly, Lauren, and myself, Vince. Morgan, though, is still not 100% convinced that she would stay over Mickey. She thinks that one could be a little bit tough. She's also really annoyed with Mickey because Mickey took her M&Ms. Oh, here's the thing. When the Mickey and Morgan first started to kind of use the M&Ms, it was Morgan's idea to bring the M&Ms in. But Mickey stole this. Mickey has gone on and used this over and over and over in so many different one-on-ones, counting out all the different votes and why she should stay off the block or why this person should go this week. So Mickey's kind of taking it and making her own. And apparently that does actually make Morgan a little bit upset. And then they actually end up going over a little bit of a season recap just on the memory wall, kind of going through like, oh, week 1, Zach won the 10K and Jimmy won the HOH power and he chose this and that person. All the while, Ava couldn't sleep. So she got up and she looked like the girl out of the Ring movies. Like it was a little bit terrifying as she was walking out of the darkness from the back. But eventually they end up going to sleep. And Ava, like I said, she couldn't really sleep that well. She kind of had like a cup of tea or something, I think. And she was just kind of talking to herself and us in the on the cameras, on the feeds. And she was saying this house reeks of BS. And she says it feels like one of Riley's rodeos. And then she says sometimes she'll be laying in bed and she'll just hear whispers. And she's just kind of over all of the fakeness. Like we said earlier, she's over Vince, she's over Mickey. And at this point, I feel like she's over a lot of the people in the house because of how fake they are being to her and all the double talk. Though she does really trust Lauren. It feels like that bond with Lauren is coming closer and closer, saying that the only one that probably wouldn't use her as a pawn would be Lauren. And I think she might be right on that. I don't think necessarily Lauren would put Ava up on the block. And I think there are a few people that are seeing Ava a little bit as that pawn type person that could go up on the block, but not as a target to go home. Like they would see her as kind of a death sentence for anybody who's sitting up there on the block with her, right? If she's there, whoever she's sitting next to, they go home. So that's kind of where that's all happening right now. But let's take a look at our allegiance chart. Not too much has changed here. I did actually flip Will and Ava. I feel like putting Ava a little bit closer to the middle just to really kind of represent that connection she has with Lauren. Because again, I feel like Will, Ava, and Lauren are actually kind of in like the best spot in the house. Nobody really sees them as threats, and I feel like that gives them a really good opportunity to get farther in the game. And as we know, half the battle of this game is just getting to the end. all you got to do is get a little bit further, and then you can start worrying about, hey, I got to win this comp, I got to do this, I got to take that person out, and it really becomes more important later. But for the beginning portion of the game, it's just getting there, just making sure you can stay out of trouble, and not be a huge target to people and get you further. That's how you get there to the end. And I feel like Will, Ava, and Lauren are probably doing the best job of that. Vince kind of has made a comeback here. He was really in a bad spot last week. It actually seemed like for a little while there, he was more likely to leave over Zach. But eventually it was the fact that Zach was actually in a better position than Vince, why Zach was actually evicted that week, which then let Vince kind of take over a little bit of that spot, right? He has Morgan really on his side. He has Keanu, who, doesn't necessarily trust him, but still would be somebody who would vote to keep him around, probably wouldn't put him up on the block. Even Catherine and Riley probably wouldn't do that either. Kelly's a wild card. Like, they did have like a final two, and they actually talked about that yesterday as well. Again, kind of bringing up that, like, oh yeah, our final two, that's still the thing. And I think Vince just has like a decent amount of people around him who wouldn't put him up, who wouldn't want to see him go and would vote for him if he ended up on the block. Then, of course, we have Rachel over on the other side, kind of in a similar spot, I think, with Lauren and Vince. Less people are thinking about putting Rachel up on the block still, right? Not a lot of people are thinking about, going after her. Even Morgan now, who's on the block because of Rachel, was saying to Vince that she probably wouldn't put Rachel up on the block if she won HOH next week. So Rachel, I still think, is in a decent spot, probably similar to where Vince and Lauren are, where I think Vince, Lauren, Rachel, Ava, and Will, there's a good chance that they're going to make it pretty far in this game still without somebody actually going for them. You never know. There can always be situations where you just end up on the block next to the wrong person. Like I said, if Vince or Lauren ended up on the block next to Ava, there's a chance that, they might not stay, just because Ava is somebody that I don't think anyone wants to vote out. Though there is a little bit of heat, maybe even from Riley, who was starting to get annoyed from Ava, especially today, was saying a lot about her too as well. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out. Keanu kind of in the middle. I had people kind of misunderstand why Keanu was in the middle. Here's my reasoning for putting him where he is. Right now, I don't think a lot of people necessarily listen to him, but there is a good enough of people who also are kind of wanting to work with him and maybe see him as a potential pawn, but somebody to kind of win that blockbuster against whoever they put him up against. But also, one of the big reasons why he's in the middle is because he is just as aligned with Rachel as he is aligned with Riley or Vince, right? Like, those allegiances to him are just as strong. So that's why he kind of ends up in the middle. Ashley over on the other side, kind of pretty down low. I think she's in a better spot even than Mickey and Morgan right now, should Mickey or Morgan end up staying. I feel like a lot of people have kind of lost faith in them. So I have her a little bit higher, but she is also someone who's kind of in that danger zone down there with Mickey, Morgan, Riley, Catherine, even Kelly. All people who could have ended up on the block in one way or the other. Ashley's name was even kind of thrown out a little bit as a potential renom, but Rachel really didn't want to do that because, as you can see, Rachel is definitely on the same side as Ashley. Mickey and Morgan, as much as people don't want to admit it, this was something that's been kind of a hot topic. I believe Mickey and Morgan are people that you could consider floaters, right? Like, and not the floaters as in a do nothing, right? That's a coaster. A floater is someone who has ties on both sides of the house and is trying to work everything and use that to their advantage. Mickey and Morgan have been doing that. They've had relationships with Rachel, Ashley, Will, and Ava. They've also had relationships with Vince and especially Zach when he was there. Morgan is much more closer to that other side than Mickey would be, and Mickey's much closer to the Will and Ava side than she would be Vince and Lauren at this point. So that's why they have kind of like the left and right of centers, but that's why they are in those positions as well. But that pretty much is kind of how I have the house kind of laid out right now at the moment. Let's say we go into the blockbuster though. Let's start kind of working over some of these votes here. Riley. If Riley is up on the block against Mickey and Morgan, would he actually have the votes to stay? He would have Catherine, he would have Kelly, he would have Keanu, and then probably Lauren. And those are the 4 votes we talked about earlier, where he's like, I think I have 4 solid votes. Otherwise, I could be going home. The big question marks would be Vince. I think Vince would keep Riley over Mickey, but Morgan's also said that she would be really upset with Vince if she kept Riley over Mickey, knowing how much Morgan cares about Mickey. So that could throw Vince off as well. And maybe he doesn't vote to keep Riley in that situation. And then if it was against Morgan, I think Vince would definitely vote to keep Morgan because she is a closer ally to him than Riley is. So I think Riley would have a really good shot at leaving versus Morgan. But Mickey, it's a little bit of a question mark there, and it really would probably come down to Vince. As over on the other side, you would have Will, Ava, and Ashley, and then either Mickey or Morgan being that other fourth vote. Vince ends up being that swing vote this week on who should actually end up staying. And it's kind of that situation in a lot of different ones. Otherwise, though, if we had Mickey and Morgan up against each other, I'm pretty sure that Morgan would stay as well. I think she would have Lauren, Vince, Kelly, Catherine, Riley, Keanu. I think at this point, even Ava, Will, Ashley all might just jump on board, voting out Mickey and keeping Morgan this week just because of how much faith they've lost in her, how she's playing the game. They don't like that she's dictating stuff. She gets upset when people aren't really on her page. So she's kind of losing a lot of the faith with her side of the house. So if they had to make a choice between Mickey and Morgan, I think they would actually end up taking Morgan and kicking Mickey out of the house. But that's kind of where we're at right now. We'll have to see how this all develops over the next day or two here until we get to eviction on Thursday, where we will see Mickey, Morgan, and Riley compete in that blockbuster. One of them will get the chance to stay. The other two will face the house for the vote. We'll have to see what happens here. What do you guys think of Rachel and her nominee? Do you think it was a good idea to put Riley up on the block? Do you not? I guess also, before I wrap things up, we should probably talk about this. It's gotten enough attention where it's like, all right, I guess I have to bring it up. You guys know, usually I try and stick to game. If it's not in the game, I really don't care that much. But there's a lot. There's a lot of discourse around Riley and Catherine, what their relationship's like, things that Riley is saying to Catherine, people actually even saying that there's potential he would get violent, which I'm going to be honest, I think is a little out of line, right? You cannot go and say someone should be kicked out of the game because of potential. If something actually happens, absolutely, he should be kicked. But there is really actually, other than just them being in what I guess you can consider a toxic relationship, there hasn't really been signs that he would do something to hurt her. Emotionally, maybe, but also, guess what? Big Brother is just emotionally draining and a little bit abusing, right? Like, if you go into this house, you were going to cry, you were going to have strong emotions. And that's the other part about this that makes it hard for me to really judge and even try and stick my nose in their relationship is there's a game going on for $750,000. Now, if this was a relationship outside of the house, I feel like Catherine, if she wasn't comfortable, could easily just walk away. It's not really the same here. There's a lot more dynamics going on. You have to put yourself in the house, in the shoes of the player and say, yeah, if I'm playing for $750,000, I'm not just going to push somebody away who's throwing their game away to me. This is something we've brought up even way before when their kind of a whole situationship started in the beginning. So it does end up being kind of a weird spot where it's like, I don't ever know 100% what is game, what is not. Catherine does at times play into it much more than she is not. And that's also something that's totally valid for her to do, right? When she's not feeling the situation and she wants to pull back, she has every right to be able to pull back. And she does that at times. But then, right, like here, she goes and she will openly kiss him and be affectionate to him. And it's just one of those weird things where there's a whole nother dynamic going on other than just the showmance. There's the game within the game as well. So it's hard to really put a definitive note on it. Another big thing is there's a whole petition going around to get Riley kicked out of the house. Catherine's family has apparently reached out to the producers about things. Here's my big take on that. Again, if there hasn't actually been anything harmful, like fully harmful, like physically harmful, I don't see any way they can actually do anything about this situation. They can't even tell Catherine that her family is reaching out concerned because that then affects the game, right? It's just like with an HOH letter. You can't say, oh, don't trust this person because it doesn't work like that. You're now affecting the game. The only time they actually will share outside information with the house is like rarely through Julie, maybe like a news update, right? There's been different times where they shared like, oh, this celebrity, is dating, or this celebrity, had a big movie that came out, or, they even told about the presidential election once. There was the very famous one back all the way in Big Brother 2 when September 11th happened. They talked about the World Trade Centers and everything that happened there. So it's very rare that they will tell them any outside information. One of the only other ones that they'll tell people about is the death of the family. We actually saw that twice. I think it was back-to-back weeks with Derek and Frankie on BB16, where both were told about somebody passing away. So things like that, they will tell a house guest. But otherwise, there will be nothing that they will tell them from the family, like if they have concerns about something going on, because it can affect the game. They're also watching out for Catherine, right? Big Brother is not going to let anything happen to Catherine. They're going to keep her safe. They can check in on her, make sure she's doing well. But again, there is also this weird thing going on with the whole game that is happening at the same time. So it's always a little difficult to really say like, oh, what are real feelings? What are game feelings? And it just makes a complicated mess that for the most part, listen, I'll be honest, I'm a goofy dude on the internet. I talk about Big Brother and the game. I understand that. Everything else, hey, that's a little bit out of my zone of expertise, right? And it's one of those things where I find it difficult to really judge what's going on. And even outside of the house, right? A lot of times, as long as there's no actual harm in a relationship, who is it us to judge what people should feel and what they shouldn't, right? I know there's a lot of people that do feel that way. And hey, if you want to go and put your opinions out there, I guess you have the right to do that. Me personally, I just don't feel like it is my place to really say one way or the other. Because again, there's a lot of mixed signals going each way. Would I act how Riley does to Catherine? Probably not. Actually, definitely not. But it's also probably not my position to really say whether or not Catherine should be removed from this situation and Riley should be kicked out of the house. I think that's going a little extreme because you can't go off potential. You can only go on the actual threats that would take place. And keep in mind, this is a show that every single person that has ever gotten physical with another house guest has been kicked out of the house. No questions, right? They will protect the house guests if actual threats of violence or even any physical contact in a violent fashion takes place, right? This has been seen a few times in the history of Big Brother. You go back to Willie Hance, Russell Hance's brother, when he chest bumped Chef Joe. You can go all the way back to season 2 when oh God, what was his name? He took the knife out, right? And that whole situation. So this isn't a thing that they play around with. If there actually was a chance that something, physically violent would happen, they would step in and stop something. So that kind of worry, I think, is a little weird as well, because again, I don't see any signs that Riley would actually hurt Catherine physically. It just doesn't seem to me like that would be his way to go. To me, it seems like Riley deeply cares for Catherine. Is it a perfect relationship? Again, probably not. And is it really my place to actually put my nose in? Probably not. But it's something that I feel like I guess I have to kind of address just because it is becoming more of a thing. Like I said, there was a petition that's going around. I think it's got like 1,000 signatures on it. That also maybe should give you a clue on what the majority of people feel in this situation. If you only have 1,000 signatures on this, that isn't even close to a percentage of who actually watches the show. That wouldn't even be a percentage of who watches this show. And I'm just a goofy dude on the internet. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, I understand why people are weirded out by it. I understand why people have their opinions on it. Me personally, it's just one of those things. I try and focus on game stuff as much as possible than trying to really dive into like the personalities of a house guest, right? And it's I don't know. It's just a weird situation that, again, I think maybe we'll have more clarity after the season and we'll have to go from there because, again, I just don't know 100% how Catherine actually feels in this situation because there's many times where it seems she pulls back, but many times where she goes back into it. So I'm going on a weird little Ori rant, but it was something that people were kind of asking in the comments, like, Ori, why aren't you talking about it? That's why, because it's just not really something I view as a huge part of the game. It's kind of there in the background. As of now, as far as game goes, they are tied together. They are a duo, showmance, whatever you want to call it. They are 100% kind of loyal to each other. They wouldn't put each other on the block. There is something there. Whether it's good for each other or not, it's happening. But that is kind of my thoughts on all that situation. I just want to thank you guys, though. That's pretty much all I got for you. All the love and support, though, that you guys show me on this channel is amazing. The last video we had, I think, is now the highest viewed video that that we've ever had on the channel. And it's just crazy the momentum that we have this season. And that's really because of you guys coming back each and every day, liking that video, hitting that comment section up, and just really helping to grow this community and make it into a good place where we can all have differing opinions, and we can all just have really good conversations, because the best conversations are when people disagree and they can have those civil conversations where, hey, we might not necessarily always agree, but maybe we can come away understanding each other's views just that little bit better. But once again, if you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, if you made it all the way through that rambling, smash that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. We will have a watch party on Wednesday and Thursday for the episodes, so make sure you come on and check those out. Thank you guys all so much. Check out the links to my description or my socials in the description, pin comment down below. You can check out things like Twitter, where I'm definitely not instigating. I'm definitely not doing that. I'm being a very good boy, I promise. And you can also check out the Discord, which we just remodeled. It's been really nice over there. Really easy to find where you want to chat. You can talk about BB, Survivor Australia versus the world. I highly recommend it. If you need help watching, come to the Discord. Come to the Discord. I'm just saying, so you can check out that as well. You can talk about that new season, because it is making regular Survivor look like preschool. It is such a different show, and I cannot tell you how much I love Survivor Australia versus the world. So we'll be definitely talking about that on Friday's live stream. Thank you guys all once again, and I will see you next time.
Within the water, you are useless, like a man.